Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Darkblade here with another tutorial for you. This episode is going to be all about gore and blood effects. The model we're using, as you can see, is the Titan Joker. As you can see, I've already undercoated, well, a little bit anyway, the claws with a bit of red. Just to give an idea of where I'm going to go with the blood. And yeah, we're going to try out some different techniques today. So what we're going to need is a toothbrush, which will become apparent later on, scissors, tweezers, cocktail stick, this all-purpose glue or Yoo-hoo glue. I'm not entirely sure if this is a Yoo-hoo's a global brand or not, but if you can find like a gum-based multi-purpose glue, you know, that's the one you need. Invisible thread, easy enough to pick up on eBay or something like that. A little container for mixing. My handy water texture, I use this for everything. It's great stuff. And a few colours to mix in with the water effects to get some varying tones on the blood, and a bit of blood for the blood god. So as you can see, I've got Professor Pig here that I did a while ago. You can see the drips of blood coming down off the knives and the splatter on his apron as well. We'll be doing both of those today. And that's where the invisible thread comes into it. I haven't used the glue on this one, but everything else I've used, you know, the water textures and the Tamiya clears to get the different colours in the blood as well. So that's the effect we'll be going for. And we'll crack on with that now. So for the first part of this stage, I'm going to take my all-purpose glue. I've got like a Pringles lid here. What I'm going to do is transfer some of the glue onto the lid, and we can then use the cocktail stick to dip in the glue. This is where it gets a little bit messy. You have to work relatively quickly with this, so I'll just get the cap back on, otherwise it'll go everywhere. Right, so I'm ready to go with the glue. As you can see, I've already undercoated the claws in a little bit of red. What you do, you dip your cocktail stick in the glue, get a blob, and just transfer it across the claws like that. And you can do as many applications as you want to get the effect that you're after. So I'm just going to work on another bit on the other side of the hand. So get a blob on your stick, dab it on and drag it across. Just do that as many times as you can. Okay, so as you can see, I've done a few more off camera. I'll try to get some various or varying thicknesses. Let's say the bigger the blob that you start off with, you know, the thicker the strand is going to be when you transfer it across. I've gone across, I don't know if you can see that or not, I went across the back of the fingers as well, to get a bit of variation. Yeah, happy with that. We'll just wait for that to dry and we'll go on to the next stage. Alright, for the next stage, I'm taking my invisible thread. I'm going to cut off a length of about 3 centimeters or so. I'll leave it there. It's nice to have a black showing underneath it so you don't lose it, because that's happened before. And I'll cut them again roughly, I don't know, less than a centimetre. I'm not going to have drips from every claw, just the ones towards the bottom of the hand. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, I got 4 there. I've lost one somewhere, it's disappeared. I'll get my water texture out ready, and I'll just dip the end of the thread in the water texture, and then that'll attach then to the claw. Okay, so the next stage, I'm taking a piece of the thread from down there. The trick is trying to keep hold of the little things. I've gone back to my Pringles lid with the water texture, so I'm just dipping that in the water texture, and then I'm going to be attaching it to the claw. Good thing about the water texture is it adheres to any surface, and you can see that it's hanging down there nicely. You can readjust it as much as you like. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, not really. I can just about see the white there of the water texture. I'm going to add another one to just to the side of that. What you can do as well is put a bit of water texture on the actual site where you want it to attach to. And you don't have to worry about, see, I've got a nice big blob there so you can see it this time. Attach it there. It doesn't really matter how much of the water texture you put on, because it'll dry clear anyway, and it does shrink. Just get rid of that pointy bit. Oh yeah, you can see that one a bit better now. So what I'll do, I'll probably put another drip about there, and then I'll do them on the other hand, and then we'll come back. Okay, there's the drips applied, or the thread for the drips. You can see one there, and then on the thumb, and then there's a few on this side as well. And what I'll do, I'll leave all those gluey bits and the water stuff to dry out, and then we'll come back in the next stage. So for the next stage, I want to work on the drips. What I've got here is the water texture, and I'm just using an old brush for this really. And all I'm going to do is work my way down the drip, just add a bit more, what should we say, a bit more girth. Let's see if we can get a droplet at the end there. Right, there's the start of the droplet. Takes a bit of playing about for it to stay on there, but each pass that you do, or each stroke of the brush, will add a little bit more of the water effects onto the bit of thread there. I mean, it'll take about 5 minutes work to try and get a little droplet on the end there. I'm going to try a few more. I'm not going to add any water effects to the strands that we've already done, because I'm happy with the thickness there. I'm going to try. I've got a bit from inside the pot rather than from the lid now. I've got a nice droplet, so I'm just working it towards the end of the thread so it sits nicely. There you go. Right, so there we have it. That's the droplets done, and we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, for the next stage, what I've done is I've added the 3 drops of water effects there, and I'm going to use the Tamiya Clears now. So I've got a bit of red in that one. Just make sure you use an old brush for this. It doesn't do them any good whatsoever. A little bit of green to this one to darken it. Bit more green than the last one in this one. Darken it even more. So we've got a bit of variation in tone then. You can add maybe a brown ink or something just to darken it again, but I think we'll see how this goes. Maybe a bit more red in there actually. Okay, happy with that. And all I'm going to do now is apply this to the streaks that we've got already on there. Remember I said, you know, I'm still using the same brush. Don't use your best brush because it'll just get wrecked. I'm just going over where we've been with the glue. Just going up the strands. I'll play up the claws as well. As you can see, it gives a lovely little gloss effect, you know, fresh blood. Just keep changing the colours that you're using. Make sure you do both sides of the claw as well, you know, front and back. I'm just going to flip it over. This is where it usually falls off the base. Got a good bit of blue tack under him this time. Remember I did this. I can't remember what it was. It was about the size of a Hulk. And of course I turned it over to paint the other side and I dropped it and smashed. I wasn't happy. Okay, so you get the idea. Just keep adding until you're happy. Sort of personal taste how far up the claw you go. Could even cover the whole hand if you wanted to. I'm just covering the initial base of the red paint that I put on. I'll cover the rest with little splatters later on, which we'll come on to in the next stage. Okay. Just remember the white of the water effects is going to clear, you know, when it dries clear. I'm going to add some more off camera and then we'll come back. Okay, so we're getting to the final stages now. What I've got in my little pot here is you know, the technical Blood for the Blood God. It's a lot darker than the Tamiya Clear stuff, and it's easier to wash off as well if it goes wrong. So get your toothbrush, dip it in the Blood for the Blood God. It's a good idea to test it first though on a paper towel. See what kind of splatter you get. If you need to add more, add more. Yeah, That's cool. I think I need a lot more actually. And then it's just the case then of just flicking it on your model then. So I'll lay him sort of flat-ish because I haven't got a spare pair of hands, but I don't want to put him flat because the work we've already done on the claws, it'll probably stick. So I'll just turn him that way. So I've dipped the brush in, get rid of the excess, and I'm just going to flick it along the forearms to get a nice little splatter. And just keep going until you're happy. I'm going to put a bit on the chest as well. I've seen some guys use, they'll probably dip their brush in the blood for the blood god, but they'll use like an airbrush to spray through the brush to get the splatter effect. But I must say I prefer doing it this way. I'm quite enjoying this actually. I'm not going to put any on the shorts because I picked a purple colour and it's not really, the blood's not really going to show on top of the purple, so I'm not bother there. Let's do the hand and forearm this side. On top of the thighs there. Right, I'll leave that to dry. Okay, so that's the splatter on. You can see a nice random patterns of different sizes of splatters. I think it looks really good. Yeah, I'll just wait for that to dry now, and we'll see how it turns out. If it needs any more putting on, you know, if you missed a little patch, you can always correct it. If the droplets don't, you know, dry to the size that you want, just put some more water frecks on, you know, just to increase the size of the, you know, the size of the droplet from that to that. You know, it's an easy thing to correct once it's dry. So yeah, there we are, Joker Titan. It did show up on the shorts after. I might go in with the toothbrush again, put some more on. We'll see how it goes. But no, happy with that. So that's the Joker Titan gore effects. Hope you liked it. Hope you find it useful. If there's anything you would like to see, let me know. You know, get involved in the comments. I can see how many people view these videos, and you know, it'd be nice to get a bit of feedback now and again. It'll help me to, you know, keep motivated and keep posting really. So yeah, let me know. Hopefully if you like it, hit like, or you know, subscribe to the channel if it's the first one you've seen. Best thing you can do is to share it to your mates or tag them. Yeah, it'd be much appreciated. So yeah, thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.